This skyscraper may look like a giant mirror for New York City to check itself out in.
But it is also the headquarters of the United Nations, where the Summit of the Future has kicked off today. The world's most influential leaders are gathered here with one purpose: to save the future.
We thought this would be the perfect opportunity to visit another important international institution, the food cart across the street.
This food cart has been across from the UN building for decades. It's an informal meeting place for UN delegates to meet up and chill out. It's kind of like the UN, but with more hot sauce.
We're gonna be hanging out here, giving you details about the Summit of the Future and key issues that will impact our world for generations to come. No big deal, right?
Actually, Leah, it's a really big deal because the decisions made inside that building impact literally every person on Earth.
Yeah, I was kidding.
Yes, so me too.
So let's put the pressure on those delegates by watching and making sure they get things right, because the stakes are literally the future of the world.
But hold up, what is the United Nations anyway?
At first glance, you might think it's where world nations get their flags from. Wrong. They get them online like the rest of us.
The UN was founded just after World War II as a place where reps from countries can get together to work out their problems without having to go nuclear, literally.
Oh.
Since 1945, the UN has helped eradicate smallpox, fix the hole in the ozone layer, and standardize all kinds of things we take for granted. Flight paths, traffic signals, cell phone networks, even the weather app on our phones.
I approve of all those things.
So in 2024, what is the UN working on?
This year, nations will be agreeing to the Pact for the Future. The Pact is designed to set us up on a path to stability and peace, to close the digital divide, expand clean energy, strengthen young people's leadership, and achieve sustainable development goals.
Well, if you're anything like me, you're thinking, that stuff sounds important, but I don't know what it means. But don't worry, we will be unpacking all of this in the rest of the show.
We're gonna be joined by a bunch of incredible talent from the internet and from around the world to explain how the summit can be a safeguard for the future and how you watching can help.
Okay, now give us a second. We're gonna enjoy our usual morning falafel, and Elise Morales is gonna give you a little peek into the future.
Oh, I'm sorry, do we know each other? You look oddly familiar.
I'm you from the future.
Really?
Prove it.
I knew you would say that. Oh, this is incredible.
Can I ask you about all the crazy technological advancements in the future, or will that mess up the space-time continuum?
Only one way to find out. Okay, not super reassuring, but let's do it. What's the internet like in the future?
It's incredible. The UN helped the world bridge the digital divide and get everyone on Earth connected to the internet.
Oh.
Plus, microloans to women in tech led to all these new advancements. It was a woman who finally got smells into TV shows.
Thank you, women in STEM. What else?
Well, the UN worked with tech companies to help protect the rights of kids in the digital space.
Oh, so everyone feels safer on the internet. Nice.
Nice.
But do people still post crazy, horrible stuff on social media?
For sure. Humans are gonna human, but the UN worked with tech companies to train AI to recognize hate speech. So abusive content gets flagged way faster.
The robots are helping us?
Yeah, robots rule. We have a robot dog that's powered by dog AI.
Okay.
He's best friends with a vacuum.
So the future sounds pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Is there anything you wish was different?
Huh. I guess the series finale of the AI Bachelor could have been better.
They make an AI bachelor?
Not on my watch.
So I guess we do change the future. Sick.
Hey, so all these UN bigwigs are here to grab a bite of lunch in peace. Not on my watch. I'm gonna do the worst thing you can do to another human. Ask them questions about work when they're obviously trying to eat lunch. Let's go. Stéphane?
Yeah.
Bonjour!
Ça va?
Oui, ça va bien! Okay, just for them, I feel like we should speak English.
I think it'd be nicer. We don't want to be rude and French. Not that it never happens.
So, what is the UN planning to do about the global rise of AI?
Artificial intelligence is actually something that makes us feel hopeful for the future, because you think of all the great applications on combating climate change, better health care, for development. There's all sorts of potential. But of course, there's also a bit of a darker side. So all of that is why the Secretary General is bringing not only member states together, but also tech companies around building rules for AI, sort of guardrails for this new technology that we have.
So, kind of like a seatbelt for your computer.
Exactly. I mean, you know, the cars that, for my age, I was riding in the 70s, they didn't always have seat belts. So you had this amazing technology that got us from point A to point B, but how do you make it safer? It's a pretty apropos analogy.
So, what can we do to make this happen?
Well, what websites are you going to buy from? What apps are you going to put on your phone? As individuals, we have power. And as individuals collectively, we have even more power.
Stefan, that was so inspiring.
Okay, ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Good evening, folks. We've got a bit of an unusual forecast for you today. No rain, no sunshine, because tonight we're tracking a major shift in the global mood. I'm professional vibologist Dan Rosen, bringing you the latest report. To get a sense of the world's current vibe, I'm reporting live from this royalty-free JPEG of planet Earth. After checking in on the global mood, climate change is living rent-free in young people's minds, especially in these countries. I've got to be honest, it's looking pretty mid with hints of washed. Data shows that nearly 1 in 3 people under the age of 35 think about climate change daily. That's almost as often as I think about the time in 9th grade when Billy Ginther told everyone I couldn't grow armpit hair yet. And he was correct. And if you look at this map, you can see several systems working together to create this vibe depression, most of them not related to Billy Ginther. For example, a heavy debt load is crushing developing nations. Plus, we've got international conflict, growing inequality, all of it contributing to a cloudy with a chance of sad balls outlook for the foreseeable future. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's the plan to turn things around? But here's the thing. People always get mad at the weatherman when it rains. Us vibologists hate that. We just measure the vibes. We don't create them. But there's a silver lining. We actually have the power to improve things. And don't just take my word for it. 9 out of 10 people under the age of 35 believe countries should collaborate together on climate action. And that's just one piece of the vibe shift puzzle. We need to see movement across multiple systems, empowering youth leadership, restructuring global finance, eliminating gender discrimination. If these forces come together, we could see a massive clearing of bad vibes and make room for a wave of positive energy to sweep in. And it looks like chances of that forecast are pretty good, since 90% of young people see the current moment as an opportunity rather than a threat. So fingers crossed for the vibe shift, and remember, I'm just the messenger. If it rains on your picnic this weekend, don't come yelling at me. I didn't tell you to have a picnic. I just report the vibes for this sketch. That's all from the vibe front, and so now back to your regularly scheduled summit.
Okay, so since we're here at this beautiful food cart, I thought I would use it to explain the difference between sustainable development and unsustainable development. Hey, Larby.
Hi, how are you?
Can I have a veggie dog and a hot dog, please?
I got you. Give me just a second.
Okay, great. So let's say you pick your toppings carefully. I'll have a little bit of mustard, a little bit of ketchup, and just a sprinkling of onions, please. Okay, great. So each topping complements the other, and nothing is falling off, so there's no waste. That's sustainable development. Using resources efficiently and wisely.
All right.
Look at that. Thank you. I'll take this one. Nice.
Oh, that looks good.
Now, on the other hand, let's say you want everything at once. Okay. So, Larby, this next one, can I get ketchup, mustard, sauerkraut, relish, onions? Let's do double onions, double relish, and triple sauerkraut. That sounds good.
Are you serious?
Yes, do I look like I'm kidding? I want to pig out and pig up. Make my GI tract beg for mercy.
All right, if you can handle it, that's
I
good.
can handle it. So this dog, you may think you're making the ultimate dog. Right. But when you go to eat it, you can't take a bite without everything completely falling off.
Tell me to stop.
That's unsustainable development. Doing too much, too fast, and ending up with a mess you can't handle.
There you go.
Oh, perfect. Love that. Oh, that one's yours, by the way.
Oh, it's beautiful. What are the napkins in the analogy? Are they solar power and wind farming, helping to reduce the mess?
Sure, yeah. I didn't really think past the point of you having to eat a really messy dog.
Checks out.
Okay, so here's the point. Sustainable Development Goals help all countries get up to speed without ruining it for future generations. Cutting down forests, strip mining, that's unsustainable. Renewable energy, like you said, is sustainable.
Right.
Are you gonna eat it?
Oh, I would, but I don't want to get the suit dirty. It's rented.
right.
Yeah. But compliments to the chef. Can you box it up and give it to the wrong address? Eddie and Dopu. Hey, Eddie.
Hi, Leah.
How are you?
I'm good, boo. How are you?
I am great. So you are the youngest member of the UN Foundation Board. So I'm going to ask you about young people.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So why is the UN so focused on young people? Like, why are you so obsessed with me?
We got to be obsessed because young people today and the 10 billion more people that are going to be born this century are literally the future.
The UN loves Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen whatever else we decide to name them. But what specifically is the UN going to do to help young people?
So the UN is going to be adopting what is called the Declaration on Future Generations, which is really about amplifying the voices of us, of our generation.
Absolutely, because I'm young and I am in debt. So can young people actually do something to help?
Like me, young people, we need to take up space in leadership. And so the Secretary General himself recognizes this and would be appointing the UN envoy for future generations.
Envoy for future generations. That sounds like a time traveler.
Kind of, but not quite. Essentially, the envoy would be working alongside the youth rep to the UN and keep leaders briefed on the pertinent issues facing future generations.
Okay, almost as cool as a time traveler. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Thanks, Leah. All
Bye.
righty.
Are you a woman earning on average 23% less than a man? Do you live in a country with a majority of women, but leadership is still dominated by men? Do you have an unavoidable sense that things are stacked against you in almost every aspect of society? Then you might be an undervalued woman living on planet Earth. As an undervalued woman, you might work in the sciences, but receive smaller research grants than your male colleagues. Live in a country with legal barriers against women's full economic participation. Spend about 3 times as many hours in unpaid domestic and care work as men. Thankfully, we can join forces to break these patterns that have existed forever and get what we all want, a future where women are represented, treated equally, and can participate fully. The summit's mission is to encourage member states to recommit to the global goal of gender equality, because at our current rate, it's going to take 140 years to make all this happen, and we need to be valued right now. So what are we waiting for? International Women's Day? Call now and you might be entitled to compensation, just not as much as a man. Wait, that's wrong.
Part of the UN's plan for a better future is loaning money to developing countries and providing sustainable debt. But the systems in place to do that were developed in the 40s. Basically, they're complicated and old, kind of like boomers. No offense.
Clearly, I'm not a boomer.
Okay, boomer. But with the help of my elderly friend, Noriana, and this lovely New York City bodega, I'm gonna show you why countries need money, where they get it, and how they can do so in a sustainable way that won't worsen their financial situation. Oh, and for the purposes of this video, I'm not Elise. I'm the Republic of Elise, a small developing nation. My government wants to invest in education and sustainable farming practices. But in order to do that, we need money. And we don't have a ton of money. So we need help. First, we need food, provided by the sustainable farming practices that the UN helped us to implement. Next, we need access to basic health care, education, clean water, and broadband. Cookies the internet. Work with me on this, Noriana. Okay, that's everything that we need to pull ourselves out of debt and begin developing in a sustainable way. If we can get the funding. That's where outside help comes in. Someone spots me a cool 500 million, which I pay back over, say, 20 years.
And you want to, but those interest payments must be rough.
And now I have less money for development. This sucks, Noriana. What comes next?
Well, fortunately, I work for IDA, the International Development Association, which is the World Bank's fund for low-income countries like Republic of Belize. And trust me, we see this all the time. And it is not your fault. It's just a result of a financial system that could be working a little better. And that's why this summit is so important. It's our opportunity to reform the financial architecture in a way that more money flows to countries in need so you can focus on development. See, when a country donates $1 to IDA, IDA is able to generate $3. And that's what funds things like grants, super low interest rates, and longer repayment times. It's a recipe for your success.
Wow, that's so much better. Now I'm ready to thrive and live my best life, which is mostly just eating cookies for world peace.
Hello, today we're diving into a special episode of Expectation versus Reality, UN edition. In 2015, we set sustainable development goals and had high expectations for the future of 2030. But it's 2024 now, and reality isn't quite matching the lofty goals we set. And I know what mismatch feels like. For example, you go to a barber and you show the stylist like this picture of the perfect haircut, the haircut that you want for yourself. But in reality, you walk out looking like this. Look familiar? It might, if you've been looking at pictures of the Amazonian rainforest recently. In 2015, the UN set out to save the Amazon, stop deforestation all over the planet. Instead, we ended up with this horrible version of a bad haircut. Accelerated deforestation is truly not a good look. And I already look like this. But luckily, we still have a chance to protect the rainforest by recommitting to plant those trees, get them in the ground, and stop cutting them down in the first place. Why is it so hard? Okay, here's another example. You book a trip to the beach and you expect to chill, to go to the beach with a tropical drink, just chill and relax. Reality, you get there and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of tourists in line to get a drink, and you end up buying a juice box. Overcrowding and over-tourism are destroying some communities. Pretty soon you're gonna have to stay in line to get to another line so you can get to the beach. And that, pardon my Portuguese, sucks. On the flip side, over half the population of the world lives in cities. So one of the goals we set up in 2015 was to make those cities more sustainable, more inclusive, and more safe. We need to invest into upgrading the poorest parts of the cities and make sure the residents have safe housing and transportation. These are just some of the ways that the goals can help us build a better future. And well, if you want one day to set foot on a beautiful beach, they impact you too. We don't want our future to look like this. The reality might look grim right now, but we are not stuck here. The SDGs were designed to push us forward, and there's still time to change the story. Remember, the future is not set in stone. So let's roll up our sleeves and make 2030 the year we hoped it would be.
UN Foundation President Elizabeth Cousins. Now, I know you're not expecting this, but I'm going to need a Pact fact.
Sure, but what's a Pact fact?
It is a fact about the Pact.
I got it. Let's talk money.
So how much money are we going to need world leaders to commit to reach these sustainable development goals?
Well, $500 billion a year in new lending would be a great way to start.
Okay, wow. I'm not an accountant, but that sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but put it in perspective. Global GDP is over $100 trillion a year. Last year alone, countries spent almost $2.5 trillion just on military spending. And that could take a haircut.
Yeah, a huge chop, I would say.
And look, half the world's people live in poverty. That is not okay, and mostly it's not necessary. That's why the Secretary General proposed something called an SDG stimulus. It covers things you think people mostly need: better schools, fair access to emerging tech, safe streets, clean energy for all. That is priceless.
You said it. Thank you? Is that how I end it?
Hi besties, not me and another influencer brand trip. These keep getting more and more outrageous, and now I'm in outer space. Yes, it used to just be the typical tropical island trip, but now I'm in outer space in the year 2050 in my extraterrestrial era. Thank you, United Nations, for inviting me. UN mentioned. Yeah, they sent me to Earth's thermosphere so I could see firsthand what's going on here, and not gonna lie, there's a lot of junk flying around. Yeah. There's tons of debris just flying around the space around Earth from prior missions and failed missions, but that's what the Summit of the Future wants to deal with. And it is a valid question. Who gets to put stuff in space? They sent me to this exclusive alien planet. I wonder what the dating scene is like here, because let's face it, the male human race on Earth is just not working out for me. Gotta take this intergalactic. Oh, wait, this planet is no longer inhabited because it got militarized by humans, I fear, when I go to an alien planet and there's no aliens there. But that's why the UN is trying to stop member nations from putting weapons in space, to be clear. Ooh, this planet is more exclusive than the last planet. This planet is planeting. Wow, these aliens are so much more friendly than my fellow Earthlings, and they've eliminated daylight savings time. But all of this yapping about time has me thinking about all of the light years ahead of us and what's to come next. At the Summit of the Future, the UN is building plans for all we're going to face going forward. Things like space traffic, space debris, and the space to have our voices heard. Space is a vacuum, so that last one's not currently possible for me. Anywho, here's to new friends and a new outlook on outer space. Peace, Earthlings.
Leah, as much fun as we're having here at the food cart, I'm kind of missing watching the speeches at the Summit of the Future.
We can still watch. I got you.
But do you have it streaming or something?
The food vendor showed me a secret before. If you want cool clips, you gotta keep them on ice.
Whoa, this is awesome.
And wait until you see the speeches.
I called for this summit to consider deep reforms to make global institutions more legitimate, fair and effective based on the values of the UN Charter. Because 21st century challenges require 21st century solutions, and we need tough decisions to get back on track.
While 50% of the world is under 30 years of age, less than 3% of national parliamentarians belong to that age group. Because if we are not involved in the decisions that will shape both our present and our future, we're not setting ourselves up for success.
Such an important message.
And to think we would have missed it without this cooler TV.
It is our joint responsibility to put these actions into practice. Although young people remain the generation with the most confidence in the multilateral system, we run the risk of losing them as partners if we don't make this pact a reality.
We must leverage the knowledge, expertise, and vigor of youth to deliver a better future for this planet and for all its people. We have an obligation to protect the interests of future generations and ensure that they will inherit a planet in which they can thrive.
Wow, I am so glad we got to watch all those awesome speeches.
Now, let's check in with my favorite influencer.
Hey everyone, Leah here. Today we're gonna do a Get Ready With Me with a little twist. Let's chat about how to make a real impact on the world while I do my makeup. First and foremost, we have to apply sunscreen every single day. The world is getting warmer and hotter due to the climate change. Now I'm gonna use a concealer to even out my skin tone, just like how the UN is working on leveling the playing field for the young people. It's kind of wild, right? Imagine a world where the young voices are actually being heard. And speaking of shaping things, education plays a huge role. But let's be honest, where's the focus on teaching the things that actually matter? Like blending this eyeshadow perfectly, navigating climate policy, or even manage our own finances. As I finish off with some jewelry, it's about showing up with intention. Just like these small details to complete the look, our actions, no matter how small, can really make a big impact. And if anyone asks why you're suddenly so into changing the world, tell them it all started with a simple Get Ready With Me video. Because who knew a little bit of mascara would lead to climate action? Bye!
And that is the end, y'all.
But as we all know, it is never the end. For the future is still being written by the least likely of authors. You.
Okay, Socrates, that meant the end of the show, not time or us trying to find a sustainable future for ourselves.
Totally. For where one journey ends, another is just beginning.
What is up with you? Did you eat like a bunch of greeting cards or something?
No, I'm trying to be inspiring.
Okay, well, we need more than just flowery words. We need action. That is what the Summit of the Future is all about. Making life better, more fair, more sustainable. Now I sound flowery. Fine, just be inspired. You know so much now after watching. Go make a difference.
Wow, that was way better.
Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Felipe Polier, and I'm the head of the United Nations Youth Office. Young people have a crucial role in shaping the future. So I want to invite you to download the Pact Now app and to find different ways in how you can participate in shaping the future. Small actions together are really making an impactful difference.